ESPN came out with the rankings of all 32 teams in the NFL relative to how close they are to getting to the Super Bowl. And there were 6 different areas that they ranked them in. Clear-cut contenders, you see them, not a surprise. On the cusp, now, the Saints, kind of interesting. Drew Brees is likely going to retire. So, Jameis Winston? Taysom Hill? Not so sure about that. Seahawks are there because of Russell Wilson. But a year away, you have the Browns, Colts, 49ers, Titans, Steelers, and Cardinals. Let's welcome Bud Shaw back in. And Bud, when you looked at what they said about that, it was basically the defense. So how close do you think the Browns are to being legitimate Super Bowl contenders, and what do they need to get there?
Well, I think it's a fair category to put them in. When I first looked at it, I thought maybe they belonged to be kicked. Maybe they deserve to be kicked up a category on the cusp. Until I see what they do defensively, Dave, how they improve this team, how they replace Olivier Vernon, what they do to make life easier for Myles Garrett. Both of those questions probably have the same answer. I'm not, and see some of those guys in the secondary come back, Delpit, Greedy Williams. It's hard to project this as a Super Bowl defense. I know people like to say, and I heard Browns fans saying it on Twitter the day the Ravens lost. They said the Browns are the last team standing in the AFC North. Well, yeah and no. I mean, part of that was the quirk of the schedule. If the Browns had played and the Ravens played on the same day, then they both would have gone out on the same day. So I think you look at the Steelers defense, you look at the Ravens defense, you look at Buffalo's defense, and you may give them all an edge over the Browns right now. But I don't think they're far. Maybe they're, in past years, I'd say they're a year away from being a year away. This time, I'd say I think they're a year away from being on the cusp.
Now, Doug Lesmerises was on and made the case that they are the 3rd best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I never agree with Doug on most of anything. So, and I'm sure he'd be laughing right now if he heard me say that. But no, I saw what he wrote about that, and I think that you could make that case, but I don't think I wouldn't say they're demonstrably worse than the Buffalo Bills. I'm just not ready to say that they're better than the Bills, even though we know the Bills didn't fare very well against the Chiefs. So there's more to that than just head-to-head, matchups and say, well, the Browns played a better game against the Chiefs than the Bills did, so they must be better. But yeah, I don't think they're far off from that second 5. Let's just say that. That's where I would put them in. I'd still put them in the second 5.
Okay, let's position it this way. If Andrew Berry is able to address the defense in a similar fashion to what he did on the offensive side of the ball a year ago through free agency and the draft, then what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, sure. Then I think they take a big step. But as we found out in this era of the salary cap, teams are almost never able to do the same thing on defense or on one side of the ball that they've done on the other side of the ball. And maybe you get that window to do it because you haven't invested the money you're going to have to invest in a franchise quarterback yet. So it's possible. These guys it's a bright front office with a clear idea of what position groups they value and which ones they don't. That hasn't always been the case here. Or if it was the case here, it changed every year or two as new regimes came in. So there's a chance with some stability here and with the guys that are in position to make decisions that they can make that leap. But yeah, they will have to improve the defense, and I think they would have to improve it, pretty markedly for them to be considered a team that's almost ready to make the Super Bowl.
When you say the front office kind of has an idea of the value of position groups, are you coming out and saying they don't really value the linebacking core? Is that kind of where you're going with this?
No, I think that's true, and I think that's also true of other organizations in the league right now. I just think they see and they probably have the numbers and to back it up, but they see the 2 most important things being able to get after the quarterback without blitzing, if at all possible, make life miserable for the quarterback with your 4 down linemen, and and build the back of that secondary up with cover guys that are sticky. And I think that's what this organization still wants to do. And I think that's why it's really important that they beef up that defensive line and be able to get another pass rushing end that does make life miserable for quarterbacks without having to bring the house to do it.